For park soon for meeting for the 5 minutes that we need. Well, I need, but you lot will be here 25 minutes, so you get a bit more out of your money.
All right.
The policing, weren't they?
Well,
Put on cameras or something like that.
that will be the next thing. Good evening, everybody.
Good
evening.
Carolyn, thank you very much for joining us. Apologies for the lateness. The car parking caused quite a
Well, yeah,
bit tonight.
well, I hope everyone noticed, every member of the Buckingham Society received the consultation link. And as far as I know, it was responded to by 50%.
Okay.
Good.
That's good. Anyway, thank you very much. We have no public speakers. Paula, apologies. Yeah, we've got a full house tonight. Well done. So, declarations of interest, received declarations of any personal prejudicial interest under consideration on the agenda. Robin,
Just the usual ones,
Yeah.
and I was writing about prejudicial interest at the moment, but yeah.
Minutes of the planning committee, which was held on the 5th of February, will be presented at the next meeting because of the constraints of time tonight. Item 4, planning applications. Next scheduled Buckinghamshire Council meetings are on Wednesday, 13th of March, 20th of April. And for people on presuming Catherine knows nothing yet about Buckingham. Thank you. No, that's right. We can go straight into planning applications. Then the first one is not a planning application, but it's a certificate of lawfulness application for proposed conversion of existing part integral single government into a habitable room. Anyone have any comments on this? John, down the other.
Yeah, what about the parking, I suppose? If it becomes a room, does that affect the parking? Because obviously when these houses are built, the garage is regarded as one of the parking spaces. If it's turned into a room, it can no longer be a parking space. Does that therefore affect whether this house still fulfills the criteria?
So this property is close by me and it does have room for at least 2, possibly 3. The whole of the front is paved in, so not a problem over that. Anyone else? In that case, I propose we have no objection. Anthony, Councillor seconding it. All those in favour? That appears to be unanimous. Thank you. Item 2 is Honeycomb Way on Lace Hill. This is a household application for proposed single-storey rear extension garage conversion, again with associated internal and external works. The planning notice was posted on the 8th of February. Anyone have any comments on it? John again.
Ditto. I also note, before we added about the no lighting of any dwelling or the erection of the garage should be carried out within the curtilage, blah, 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 blah. That's obviously that Catherine cited there. We know how tight car parking is on that still particularly. Will this make any substantive difference?
I'll ask Catherine.
There is quite a lot of driveway parking in front. I would be concerned if it did overflow off the drive because it's a children's playground directly opposite.
Yeah.
But I mean, considering it's a modern garage, it's not actually big enough to put a bit.
And that's
Right.
Ford Focus in front of it.
Yeah.
Catherine's picture.
Should have been lost considering.
Carolyn, having made the journey, you must have some comment.
It was about the only comment any Buckingham Society wanted to make has been already pointed out by John and no doubt everyone else. Parking in Lace Hill, as we all know, is absolutely premium, and certainly we want to see it overspill onto street parking.
Yeah. Mayor.
I would, however, say that for practical purposes, nobody appears to put their cars in these garages anyway, on any of these estates. I certainly don't put my car in my garage because my garage is full of other stuff. And I should have thought this is true for pretty much everybody on every estate in Buckingham. So for all practical purposes, it's not unlikely to make much difference. Unless they now obviously store their junk on their driveway.
Carolyn,
Yes, absolutely right, Helen. Nobody uses a garage now for buying it in. But should this not be part of future planning, neighbourhood planning as well, that the garage is no longer considered parking spaces?
yeah, in our drafting of the revised neighbourhood plan, we're making the point that garages should match the minimum parking spaces, which Buckinghamshire Council now demands, which is 2.8 by metres. Garages should be the same, you know.
Yeah, but they still won't use the garage so much.
You can leave off the wall. Deputy Mayor elect.
Well, thank you. He's not supposed to be saying that. It was a confidential meeting.
In that case, Councillor Davis.
Councillor at the back now.
Everybody, I hear
What?
I was going to say, I think very few people use garages these days because they're not considered to be a good place to store a vehicle because of the moisture issues encourages rust on vehicles. I think if people have got vintage cars and stuff, they have a temperature controlled and climate controlled environment within their garages. And I think that the idea of having a garage to put a car in is something that has completely gone by the wayside now.
It does beg the question, why do they bother?
Why do they keep it? Because people need somewhere to put their junk.
Yeah, Councillor.
In defence of those of us who do put cars, I had 2 cars in garage at home, one of which is 20 years old and is not really very rusty. But I do take the general point that people don't actually use them. But I felt even as an outlier, I ought to stand up for that tiny minority who actually do use their garages. The purpose for which we thought they were for.
Just a very quick digression, it's not really written. I've found that on some of the new estates where they simply have a covered car hall, people do actually tend to use them a little bit more, so maybe it's also slightly to do with the convenience of not having to
Get the door.
get in the garage, open the garage door, get your car out, get out of your car, then shut the garage door, so
These
lock that into the car.
Half-part is not really suitable.
Just for completeness, I just press this button and the door opens.
Yeah.
proper dial.
May I suggest something to the vote?
I propose you have no objections. Councillor, seconded by Councillor Round, all those in favour? Thank you. Robin abstaining again. Lucy, thank you. Sorry,
I'm abstaining too.
you're abstaining as well. Sorry, 2 abstentions.
You're the voting, John.
That's separate. Lucy, thank you for your comments. We will pass those on to the neighbourhood plan. I think it's a good point to make. Thank you. Item 3, 110 Western Avenue. There is no planning notice for this, although it was validated on the 5th of February. The householder application for proposed single-storey front extension, associated internal and external works. The one thing that jumped out to me was that it's going to change the street scene. There are no front additions apart from little porch canopies along the whole of that side of Western Avenue. I actually went and had a look this afternoon just to make sure. And it's unchanged since these houses were built. But I believe Buckingham Society does have a view.
Well, yes, I mean, I actually also went this afternoon to specifically look at this terrace of houses, which, as you say, has remained unchanged. There are 1 or 2 front extensions. And in this case, there's nothing in the adjoining terraces that have a front extension, although elsewhere in Western Avenue. I do think the height difference between it and its neighbour actually make a difference and would mitigate the street scene somewhat if they did put a front extension on. But this, I have to say, is a personal view. The society did not.
That's a good point. Thank you. Any other comments? John?
Yeah, I think street scene makes a difference here. I think it would, if this is a traditionally built line of terrace houses, and they put this on would significantly alter the street scene, and I would object to it.
Yeah, they already have had a rear extension previously, so.
Doesn't matter so much. Really.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so,
It's the front.
yeah. Anyone else? Well, my proposal is that we do object to this on the grounds that it will spoil the street scene, which has remained largely unchanged since these houses are built in when Catherine, in the 70s probably.
Long before that, I'm in the 50s and 30s.
Well, we know that the estate was laid out in 1946 because there's an RAF map of it being laid out.
Yeah.
And the work was actually done by prisoners of war.
Considerable amount of Western Avenue was remodelled due to the system built with the ring system, which was one of those system builds that failed.
Right.
And they basically evicted people one at a time from the houses, rebuilt the house, and then let them. And that was within, I think, 25 years of because the town clerk at the time was living in Western Avenue, and she had to move out. That was when I was with the council.
Wow.
Right. The reason I'm raising this street scene is that the local planning authority seems to be taking more and more notice of street scenes now, and refusing applications. So I've made the proposal that we object to it. Do you have a second one?
I will, even though I might just add to it, I'm fairly ambivalent, but I do take the point about street scene.
Okay, seconded then by Councillor Rudd, thank you. All those in favour that we object? See how many. Right, those against and abstentions, 1, 2 abstentions. Thank you. Right, and the fourth and final planning application, non-tree application is 33 Willow Drive. Again, no planning notice for this. This is the proposed drop curve, which has 3 times been before us, been to appeal and lost. They continue to try and get the drop curve right on the corner moved, so for more ease of access. Our position so far has been to object, and we were backed up by the planning inspector on that. John?
Forgive me, we're looking at the photograph, it looks like there already is a drop curve.
No. And that, I think, is for the, through you, Chair, I think, having looked at that many times, I think it's for the pathway and for mobility reasons.
Yes.
Because it is which you would find on a pathway, and it just happens to be abutted to the road.
So why?
But there again, so therefore it is already dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not for the full amount, it's only for the path width, isn't it? And then it goes back up to full height.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the drop curb for the vehicular access onto the driveway. They've obviously paved over the,
It's perfect.
absolutely, paved over their front garden to make off-street parking. And they're wanting to not drive over the drain, presumably, or up and down the drop curve to get on and off there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it says 2.7 million, that's the extra bit that they're looking that they want to.
And as we've noticed from Catherine's notes, they have actually decided to do a bit of a land grab again, put the red line out again outside their curtilage. Or just another point, this is the first time they've actually made a planning application. All the previous applications have been pretty difficult. certificates of lawfulness. Martin?
I can't say for certain, but I would hazard a guess that when it was originally built and it wasn't block paved all the way, there was probably a garden shrub area that went round to the end of, in front of that blue car that we're looking at by the proposed drop curb, thereby hemming it in, but it's not there anymore and it is what it is. I would still object to it.
Thank you. Anyone else with any comment? No, I propose we continue to object to this on the previous ground, seconded by Anthony. All those in favour? That's everyone except Robin. John, are you? Yeah, everyone except Robin doing the same. Thank you. There are three applications, all of which have now been dealt with, two in the churchyard at St. Luke and St. Paul Church. And which was all work to prevent branches falling, and the third one was in Morton Road. It's a conifer that's been deemed ever dying at the bottom of 9 Morton Road. There was quite some dissension over this between members and tree members, because the wall is starting to bulge out. In fact, we requested for this work to be done as soon as possible, and we were asking for more information, but more information has come up from a previous owner about when it was put in. He made an application in 1997, but the work wasn't actually done at the time because he decided then it wasn't needed, but now it is definitely needed. And Catherine has on our behalf replied that this work needs to go ahead. So thank you for everyone who took part in that. Item 5, planning decisions. You'll notice most of the plans that we had no object to being approved. The one that we did object to, 31 Highlands Road, the addition of the first floor to form 1.5-storey dwelling, which we again opposed, was a group approved by the planning officer, and her reasons for approving was it was considered the proposed development would not be out of keeping with the existing property or significantly harm the character and appearance of the area, despite them all being bungalows on that side, in accordance with about policy BE2. However, given the layout of the site, the context of the street scene, and the current proposed scheme, it is considered the proposal would likely represent the extent to which the dwelling can be extended. Any future planning application on this site to further extend the dwelling would likely be refused by the local planning authority. There is still, of course, the outstanding matter of the front wall, which they built, which was an enforcement matter, and has now gone to appeal. We haven't had a result to that yet. The only other item there, planning inspectorate. The inspectors dismissed the appeal against non-determination for non-compliance with above and Buckingham neighbourhood plan policies. This was the sole build above Walk Hill Terrace on Stratford Road in that triangle behind the fence. It's very gratifying that the inspector concluded it would conflict with policy, a number of policies about, and policies DHE 1, 2, 5 and 6 of the Buckingham Neighbourhood Development Plan. He said he found that the proposal conflicts with the development plans read as a whole, and no other material considerations, including the National Planning Framework Policy, have been shown to indicate the decision should be taken otherwise than to dismiss it. So that was another small victory.
Yeah. To win.
Thank you. Item 6, Buckinghamshire Council Matters. This is to note that the quarterly planning forum, which hasn't been held since last July, is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. It will be online. I'll be attending on behalf of the planning committee. We have no written question to submit, but we do have the opportunity during the meeting to raise any questions any members here tonight might want aired in public. I don't know if anyone has anything, but Mayor.
I wonder whether it might be useful to ask them whether they foresee any. No, Let me start elsewhere. There seems to be occasionally quite a bit of delay between somebody submitting an application and for official notification being given or turning up on the planning portal. And it would be nice to know whether this is due to a shortage of officers and whether they are foreseeing that this is likely to get better or worse in the future.
Well, I think I've got the gist of that, yeah. So what we're saying is that the plans aren't always necessarily validated as soon as they're received, or if they are validated, we aren't notified
Well,
about them.
you personally, the email us directly from the gentleman in West Street
Yeah.
in weeks
Mm.
in between. And it was a list of people. Well,
Right, because what they're asking for, they don't want any specific examples, they just want general things, so this is perfect, this would fit in very well, I'm very happy to ask that question, thank you. Robin?
It might not be the right meeting, tell me if it isn't. Would they give you an update on emerging neighbourhood plans and how they feel that they're resourcing, supporting emerging neighbourhood plans, and how many neighbourhood plans have they got agreed and where they are? Because there are quite a list of people doing neighbourhood plans at the moment, and it might be interesting for the people there to know how many doing, to know how they're dealing with emerging and resourcing emerging neighbourhood plans, which might actually help
Across the whole county?
Yeah, not particularly to us, but
Yeah.
county, because I think that information needs to be asked.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have that. Anything else anyone thinks we should be Aaron? No, thank you. You're all happy for me to raise this?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Item 7 is Chairman's item for information. I have none, except to thank you all for your endurance tonight. Good night. The next meeting is Monday, 25th of March, which is a standalone meeting. With that, we close the meeting at 9:18. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Caroline.